Welcome to my channel BBC Rare Coins, where we dive deep into the fascinating world PF coins. Today, we are exploring the ESA 1-cent penny, a tiny coin with a HIG story. Let's get started. Top 1. It's small. It's copper. It's easy to ignore. But in 2009, a seemingly ordinary penny shocked the coin collecting world by selling for an astonishing $175,600. This is the story of how a 1-cent coin became one of the most valuable modern treasures in U.S. numismatic history. In 2009, America honored the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent. To celebrate, the U.S. Mint released 4 unique reverse designs, each representing a chapter of Lincoln's life. The first showed his log cabin birthplace in Kentucky. The second depicted Lincoln reading while taking a break from rail splitting in Indiana. The third illustrated his early professional life in Illinois. The fourth captured his presidency in Washington, D.C. Among these, the formative years design drew particular interest from collectors. But no one could have predicted what came next. A small number of these coins, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, had a peculiar feature, a doubled image on certain parts of the coin. Lincoln's fingers. His boots. His book. These weren't standard issue coins. They were error coins, the rare kind that collectors dream of finding in pocket change. This type of error is known as a doubled die obverse, or DDO. It happens when the die, the metal stamp used to imprint the design, shifts slightly during creation, creating a doubled image when coins are struck. These errors are usually caught quickly. But a few managed to escape into circulation in 2009. One of these pennies, in virtually perfect condition, was eventually submitted for grading. It received an exceptional Mint State 67+ red rating from PCGS, one of the most respected coin grading services in the world. That rating meant the coin was not just rare, but also in near-flawless shape, a brilliant red luster, no visible wear, and struck perfectly. When it hit the auction block, it made headlines. A 1-cent coin, now worth more than a luxury car. More than some homes. More than most people earn in several years. Final sale price, $175,600. Coin collectors and treasure hunters across the country took notice. Interest in the 2009 penny surged. People began digging through jars, drawers, and piggy banks, hunting for that telltale doubling. Coin shops saw a flood of hopefuls bringing in stacks of pennies, hoping to find their ticket to a 6-figure payday. But it wasn't just hype. That rare 2009 DDO wasn't alone. A few more surfaced over time, proving that lightning could strike twice, or even 3 times. For those lucky enough to spot the hidden error, the story of the $175,600 penny became more than a collector's tale. It became a cultural moment. A reminder that even in a world of digital currencies and fast-paced technology, there's still room for old-fashioned treasure hunting. That sometimes, the smallest things, even a penny, can be priceless. Some people laughed when they heard a penny sold for more than a Ferrari. But those who understood the coin story knew better. It wasn't just about the metal or the face value. It was about history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. Every time you pick up a penny, especially a 2009 one, you might be holding something extraordinary. A simple design, stamped in copper, linked to a precedent, a celebration, and a rare mistake that turned into pure gold for the right collector. And that's just the beginning. Top 2. It looks like every other penny. Copper-colored, lightweight, worn around the edges. Tossed in jars, dropped on sidewalks, ignored in change trays. But in 1973, the U.S. Mint accidentally created a version of the penny so rare, so mysterious, and so valuable that it would one day sell for a staggering $179,200. Most people have no idea what they're holding when they find a 1973 penny. To them, it's just another coin. But hidden among the millions produced that year is a mistake. A nearly invisible error that turns ordinary copper into collector gold. The United States was in a unique place in 1973. The Vietnam War was winding down. The Watergate scandal was building up. Inflation was climbing. The cost of copper was rising so rapidly that the US Mint began experimenting with alternative materials to strike future coins. In this turbulent economic atmosphere, small adjustments and minting decisions led to one of the most legendary coin rarities in modern American history. Somewhere in the production lines at the Philadelphia Mint, a single die used for the Lincoln penny developed a fault. It was subtle, just a slight misalignment during the engraving process. But that tiny shift caused a major doubling effect on the coin's obverse, Lincoln's portrait side. The result was what experts call a doubled die obverse, one of the most desirable types of mint errors in existence. The doubling was visible in Lincoln's eye, the date, and the letters of "In God We Trust." Only a small number of these error coins ever left the mint. Fewer still survived in pristine condition. One of them ended up in the hands of a coin enthusiast who, years later, sent it to a professional grading service. When it came back graded MS-67 red, collectors took notice. That meant it was nearly flawless, with a brilliant red luster, almost as if it had never left the mint. When that coin went to auction, the bidding war was immediate and fierce. Phone lines buzzed. Online bids surged. Collectors across the world wanted to own this ghost of the mint's past. By the time the auctioneer's gavel fell, the final price flashed on the screen, $179,200. For a penny, what made it so valuable wasn't just the error. It was the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and historical context. The 1973 doubled die obverse was already almost impossible to find. Combine that with its untouched quality, and you have a coin that belongs in a museum or in the vault of a serious collector. After news of the sale broke, coin forums lit up. Videos popped up on YouTube. Social media was flooded with people asking the same question: could I have one of these? Suddenly, everyone wanted to inspect their 1973 pennies. Dealers saw an influx of hopefuls bringing in jars of coins, searching for a miracle hiding in plain sight, and it wasn't just hype. The existence of one confirmed high-grade error meant there could be others still out there, sitting in forgotten coffee cans, hiding in old wallets, buried in backyard treasure boxes. The legend of the 1973 penny became a symbol of possibility. Proof that even something as ordinary as a 1-cent coin could hold life-changing value. That in a world dominated by billionaires and banks, sometimes the smallest things are still worth the most if you know where to look. Every time someone picks up a 1973 penny now, they look a little closer. They tilt it toward the light. They squint at the date, the letters, the glint on Lincoln's eye. Is this the one? Could this be worth $179,200? And in that moment, they're not just holding a coin. They're holding a story. A chance. A mystery. A piece of American history that just might be worth more than gold. Top 3. It's one of the most overlooked coins in your pocket. It's light, copper-colored, and often tossed aside without a second thought. But in 1975, the US Mint struck a penny that would go on to shock collectors around the world. It didn't glitter. It wasn't made of gold. It was a simple, modest coin, but it sold for a jaw-dropping $163,100. This isn't just a story about a rare coin. It's about a mystery. A mistake. A moment in minting history that turned an everyday cent into one of the most expensive Lincoln pennies ever sold. The 1970s were a time of transition for US coinage. Rising metal prices, shifting economic policy, and subtle design changes created a breeding ground for rare variations. The 1975 penny was never supposed to be anything special. It bore the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But deep within the Philadelphia Mint, something unusual happened. One of the dies used to strike the coin developed a critical flaw. That flaw, when pressed into copper planchets at high speed, caused a misalignment. Not dramatic enough to be obvious at first glance, but under close inspection, the details told a different story. In the rarest examples, the doubling effect appeared on the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," and even parts of Lincoln's iron jawline. These coins, known as double die obverse, are like printing typos in the world of numismatics, except they're rare, unintentional, and worth fortunes. Only a tiny handful of these 1975 DDO pennies have ever surfaced. The most valuable of them was discovered by a private collector who had no idea what they were holding. It sat in a coin folder for decades, unnoticed. Eventually, it was sent in for grading. The result? MS-67 red. A near-flawless strike, brilliant in color, and one of the finest known examples in existence. When it hit the auction floor, the bidding was fast, loud, and international. Everyone wanted it, because everyone knew its value would only go up. When the gavel finally fell, the final price flashed in bold to $163, 100. From 1 cent to six figures. News of the sale spread like wildfire. It wasn't just the coin community that took notice, mainstream media picked up the story. Everyone began asking the same question: could I have one of these? Penny jars were dumped out. Old rolls of coins were cracked open. People who had never cared about coins before suddenly became treasure hunters. Somewhere, out there, more of these rare 1975 errors might be waiting. That's the thing about coins, especially pennies. They're everywhere. Billions are minted every year. And once in a while, one of them escapes quality control. It slips past unnoticed, only to resurface years, or decades, later as a hidden gem. The 1975 penny story isn't just about value. It's about possibility. It's about how the smallest things, forgotten by most, can become treasures in the right hands. You don't need to be a millionaire to start. All you need is curiosity, a magnifying glass, and a little luck. So the next time you see a 1975 penny, take a closer look. That tiny copper disc might just be your $163,100 lottery ticket, and if it is, welcome to the club of accidental millionaires. Because sometimes, history hides in your pocket. Top 4. It's the coin nobody saw coming. A penny from 1989. Ordinary, overlooked, copper-coated, passed through millions of hands, and yet, one of them sold for a stunning $168,800. Not made of silver. Not made of gold. Just 1 cent. But this is not just any cent. This is the 1989 penny that stunned collectors and shook up the numismatic world. When people hear about valuable coins, they think of centuries-old relics. Colonial silver dollars. Civil War-era gold pieces. But the 1989 Lincoln cent. That was minted just yesterday in coin terms. Billions were made. So how did one of them become worth nearly $170,000? It starts with a mistake. Not a sloppy one, a microscopic one. A minting error so rare and so perfectly preserved that it turned pocket change into treasure. This particular 1989 penny wasn't just another coin off the press. It had a flaw, but not the kind you throw away. This was a double die obverse, one of the most sought-after types of minting errors in US history. Under magnification, the details jumped out. Doubling in the words liberty. Distortion in the date. Faint echoes in God we trust. These weren't scratches or wear marks. These were signs of a faulty die, a mechanical misalignment during the minting process that stamped a doubled image on the coin surface. But rarity alone isn't enough. What made this coin explode in value was its condition. After being certified by a top grading authority, it earned a grade of MS-68 red, near perfect strike, full mint luster, untouched by circulation. Only one known example exists at this level of preservation. When the coin went to auction, no one expected what happened next. Collectors from around the world joined in. Bidding started in the thousands. Within minutes, it was in the tens of thousands. The room fell silent when the bid hit six figures. And then came the final hammer drop, $168,800. For a single, small penny minted in 1989. That sale made headlines. Not just in collector circles, but in financial news, mainstream media, and social feeds across the world. Suddenly, everyone wanted to check their change drawers. Was there a 1989 penny hiding in a kitchen jar worth more than a college education? The story sparked a wave of amateur treasure hunters. Grandparents pulled out old coin folders. Teenagers took flashlights to their piggy banks. Coin shops saw a rush of 1989 pennies being brought in for evaluation. The hype was real, and for good reason, because when something this rare appears, it almost always means there are more. Maybe not in perfect MS-68 condition. But out there, hiding in plain sight, are coins with that same doubling. Maybe scuffed. Maybe circulated. But still valuable. Still desirable. Still potentially worth thousands. The beauty of the 1989 penny story is what it represents. That incredible things often hide behind the most ordinary surfaces. That something as humble as a penny could hold the kind of value that changes lives. That history isn't just written in textbooks, sometimes, it's stamped in copper. Every time someone picks up a 1989 cent now, they see more than a coin. They see a question. A possibility. A whisper of what if. Could this be the one? Could this be the next $168,800 discovery? And maybe, just maybe, it is. Top 5. It's one of the most ignored coins in modern American history. A penny minted in 1993, ordinary, common, and passed through millions of pockets without a second glance. But in a twist that stunned collectors and shocked auction houses, one of these quiet little coins sold for an unbelievable $154, 300. Not ancient. Not golden. Not locked away in a museum. Just a simple copper-plated zinc penny, struck during a year when nothing about US coins seemed particularly special, until this one appeared. The secret wasn't in what you could see at a glance, but in the microscopic details. This wasn't a regular 1993 penny. It was a mistake. A miracle. A rare minting error that transformed 1 cent into a six-figure fortune. What made this coin so rare? A flaw. A powerful, valuable flaw, a double die obverse, caused by a misalignment during the die creation process at the Philadelphia Mint. It left subtle but unmistakable signs of doubling on the obverse side of the coin, Lincoln's profile, the word liberty, the motto, in God we trust, and the date. Only a few of these error coins ever made it past the Mint's quality control. Even fewer were preserved. Most were unknowingly spent, worn down in circulation, lost to time. But one survived, untouched, uncirculated, perfect. That one was discovered by a coin enthusiast who had been collecting for years but had never seen anything like it. He sent it to be graded. The result, MS-68 read. A score so high, so rare for an error penny from the 1990s, that it stunned even the grading experts. Then came the auction. The bid started modestly. But as word spread, collectors from around the world jumped in. What started as a whisper became a bidding war. By the time the final bid was cast, the 1993 penny had sold for an astonishing $154, 300. From 1 cent to six figures. From pocket change to headline news, suddenly, 1993 pennies were no longer ignored. Coin forums exploded. YouTube videos dissected every detail. Social media lit up with people dumping out change jars, magnifying glasses in hand, hoping to spot the telltale signs of doubling. Treasure hunting fever had officially begun, but what made this coin truly legendary wasn't just its error. It was the timing. Most people assume valuable coins are old, relics from centuries ago. But this one proved otherwise. It came from a year most people barely remember. A year after Clinton took office. A year of economic transition, cultural shifts, and yet nothing remarkable in coin production. Until now, the 1993 doubled die penny became a symbol. A reminder that not all treasures are buried. Some are sitting right in front of us. That even in the most ordinary places, a gas station counter, a car's cup holder, a forgotten piggy bank, there might be something worth more than anyone could imagine. Every 1993 penny in circulation now feels different. People look closer. They study the edges, inspect the text, tilt it under light. Could this be the one? Could lightning strike twice, because it happened once, and for the person who found the $154,300 penny, it changed everything. Not just financially, but mentally. It proved that value isn't always obvious. That rarity can live in plain sight. That the world still has secrets worth discovering, and maybe, just maybe, the next one is still out there, waiting.